In this lesson, we're going to be talking about another routing protocol. This one's called the Routing Information Protocol, or RIP. Now, RIP is a very old protocol, and as a result, it's not often used, particularly in larger organizations, although it works reasonably well for small networks that don't require a lot of administration. The Routing Information Protocol is a distance vector protocol, which uses a hop count as a way of measuring distance. So a hop count, of course, is the number of intermediate devices that a message would need to go through to get to its final destination. With distance vector routing protocols, we have a distance, in other words, how far away something is measured by hop count or intermediate systems, and we have a direction or a vector which gives us the interface that the message needs to go out to get to its final destination. We've got a number of different mechanisms that gets used to prevent incorrect routing information. So we have split horizon, which basically keeps routing loops from happening. So we know that if a routing update comes in on a particular interface, we don't send that message back out that same interface. Unlike a protocol such as BGP, for example, RIP sends out entire routing tables or partial routing tables all at once. If I send my entire routing table to you, it would have an entry or several entries perhaps from routes that you had. And so split horizon is a way of preventing you from getting a route from me to a network that you already knew about. So there are a number of mechanisms that get used with RIP in order to prevent bad routing decisions from happening. Split horizon is one of them. What I've got here is a packet capture from a RIP session. RIP uses UDP. Of course, in a different lesson, we talked about BGP, which uses TCP. RIP uses UDP, and the idea is UDP is faster and requires less overhead, so the messages get out quicker. What I've got here is a RIP v1 request, and I'm going to get a response here. And you can see that we've got an IP address of 200.0.1.0, and the metric is 1, which means it's only one hop away. So we continue to see request responses, and primarily this is all there is. We've actually got a series of networks in the 200 range, so we're going to keep sending out these different updates about how far away these networks are. Now, what you'll see here is you'll notice that there's not actually an indication of how big this particular network is. And the thing about RIP is it makes some assumptions about the size of the network based on the class of the IP address. And the class of the IP address has to do with this first octet in the IP address. Based on that first octet, you can make determinations as to whether it's a class A, which would be in the range of 0 to 127. A class B would be in the range of 128 through 191, and a class C would be in the range of 192 through 223. So those would be the classes of addresses you would see. There's actually a class D, which would be used for multicast. So it's not something you would actually ever set a system to have an IP address in that class D range. Now, in this case, what RIP would assume would be the network mask for this particular IP address would be 255.255.255.0 or 24 bits of network mask. Again, RIP doesn't have the capability of doing classless addresses. So all of the addresses it knows about rely on the class of the IP address, which again is based on the first octet of the IP address. So we figure out how large the network is based on that first IP address, and the network mask would follow from whatever class you happen to be in here. So this is a series of RIP version 1 messages. There was actually a RIP version 2, which set out to fix some problems that RIP version 1 had. You'll notice with RIP, one of the downsides here is there's not any authentication that happens here. So we do request, response, and then a number of responses, and it's actually a broadcast address that gets sent to here. So with RIP, we just send out the message to everybody who wants to listen, and there's not actually any authentication to verify that the message that is being sent has any validity at all and that it actually comes from the right source. So there are definitely some challenges with RIP, although, like I said, with really small networks, it may not actually be a bad protocol if you don't really want to put a lot of administrative work into a dynamic routing protocol.